What's going on, Falcons fans? Logan here. Welcome back to Rise Up Rundown. And if you're new here, welcome. So, we have an awesome set of mailbag questions for today. This is by far, like literally by a landslide, the most questions that came in as we started these mailbag questions in 2023. We have a buttload of questions to answer. A buttload. I mean like Beyonce-size buttload of questions to answer. And I am so thankful for each and every single one of them. And without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first one is from Jonathan Bell. With this being the first time the Falcons have had cap space in a long time, and with all the signings so far, do you think we're a dark horse team or still underdogs to make the playoffs? Rise up, ATL. All right, so I personally think that we're a dark horse to make the playoffs. Jesse Bates, Calais Campbell, David Onyemata, Jonnu Smith, and then you still got Drake London and Kyle Pitts. And I'm sure we're going to draft very well, adding in Ryan Nielsen and Arthur Smith. Arthur Smith wasn't added this year, but anyway, my point is, like, with all of this talent, you would think that, like, we have a pretty good chance of making the playoffs, especially noting that the NFC is a bit of a weaker conference than the AFC. So I'm going to have to say that we're a dark horse team. Now, a Super Bowl team, I think, is a little bit of a different story, but it does also depend on how Desmond Ridder plays, and if Desmond Ridder can play well, or if Taylor Heineke steps in and plays well, then I think we're a playoff team. Archangel asks, have you ever played fantasy football? And if so, would you ever consider starting maybe a Rise Up Rundown league? I actually have played fantasy football before, but it was kind of a while ago. Like I played from 2015 to 2019, I think. And then when COVID hit, nothing really weird happened to the people I was playing it with. I don't know. I'm not really sure why we didn't continue it, but... and I won one of them. I won my 2018 fantasy league, but would I ever be down to make a new one and start it with like a Rise Up Rundown fan base? So the thing is, yes, but I don't really know how I'd start that. So I would have to think a little more of how that would work. Now, obviously, no promises because it's also just kind of been a while since I've played fantasy, and fantasy is fun. But I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, it's a cool idea. Archangel asks, with the new free agent additions so far, are there any new jerseys that you would want to purchase? Jesse Bates. Like, no question about it. Jesse Bates would be the jersey that I would get. Because, like, I mean, finally a defensive player that we can... Well, I mean, I know there was AJ Terrell and Grady Jarrett that I could have grabbed. And I could still grab, but... yeah, Jesse Bates is the first defensive player jersey that I would probably get, or Calais Campbell, because I do still like him, despite the fact that he's not who he once was, but probably those two players. Archangel asks, what would your dream draft pick for Falcons at number 8, moving up or moving back? So I'm okay with either Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez at number 8. At one point it was Jalen Carter, but I don't know, like, something's kind of fishy about him to me. Like, he didn't, obviously there was the whole off-field thing, but he wasn't great at his pro day, I think. I don't know, something's kind of weird about him, but I mean, you also can't really deny his upside as a football player. So if he comes to the Falcons and if the off-field things aren't too bad, then, whatever. I wouldn't mind it, but probably like Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez. Archangel asks, what are some of your personal goals for our beloved Atlanta Falcons this 2023 season? Make playoffs, develop Desmond Ridder into, he doesn't have to be a franchise quarterback this year, but at least a promising quarterback in 2023. And make our defense at least in the top 20, at least. It's time to just elevate this defense to new heights. I don't expect this defense to be in the top 15 or whatever. It's just, a young defensive coordinator and still some things to fix. But at least in the top 20. Those are definitely my goals. Archangel asks, have you ever thought about doing something special for the loyal fans that watch you daily? Maybe like some kind of giveaway. Always have I been thinking about that, actually. I know they say to, keep your life private, but there's something that I want to reveal to you all is like, it's not just with Rise Up Rundown, like with these like things that I create, on YouTube, like with the stop motions. That I'm still working on that. I've been a little quiet on advertising it only because I'm still making progress with it. Anyway, I'm making those, and then there's Res Up Rundown. I tried to upgrade that this year, and then there's something new that I'm working on. Here's a hint. I have a piano, so we'll see what I can do with that. But basically, what I'm trying to say is, like, for everything that I create, my goal always was to be kind of like a giveaway king. Like I've always wanted to be the type of guy to just kind of like create some sort of something to give away something. And I don't really know what, but I just know in my heart, like I wanted to like give away something. And I wanted to start by answering mailbag questions. Cause I'll put on my Instagram or Twitter or something, and I'll say, whatever you do, make sure it impacts the world in a positive way. And I was like, okay, well, we're obviously not at the huge level to where we can like donate all this money for charity, but what I can do is start small and still do something for other people. So I'm just, I want to answer mailbag questions because I feel like it's something that can positively impact other people. I want to create more movies and stuff because the world kind of needs a little more entertainment. And then we'll see what happens with this thing right here. But I just like creating and helping. And I do believe that whatever you do should be to impact the world in a positive way. So yes, I've been thinking about that to answer your question, but I just don't know what yet. But we'll work our way to what can possibly happen in the future. But I hope a mailbag question video is a good start. Archangel asks, how long do you think it will take us currently to make a Super Bowl? I don't know. Like, if we continue to build off of the momentum that we have, then, and I'm saying if, because, we've been drafting well, and we've been spending wise money, I guess. Now, it is up to Desmond Ridder and Arthur Smith to really turn things around here, but this is considering if we keep up the momentum, hopefully within like the next 2 or 3 years. Now, obviously, those are no promises because there's still a little bit of work to do with this team. But if we continue the work that we've been doing and the positive movement, then maybe 2 to 3 years. And if we don't do that, then honestly, it's definitely going to be a little while. King Dog asks, what do you think the best wide receiver that the Falcons could draft is? I've always liked Jackson Smith and Jigba, to be honest with you. He's that bigger bodied receiver that Arthur Smith would like, and he's physical and all that. But I also like Quentin Johnston, but I would probably take Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's probably my favorite receiver so far in this draft. I just like him a lot. And he kind of is like Drake London and Kyle Pitts, like the bigger body receiver that can block. And he's also just I know I'm explaining like the most typical receiver ever, but he can block and he can catch. But it's true, like he can do that. Yeah, I would personally like it if somehow we found a way to get Jackson Smith and Jigba, but maybe not at pick number 8. Archangel asks, will you do a video on the top 5 or 10 players that we could possibly take in the first round? So I don't know. Obviously a mock draft is coming. That'll be like moments before the draft. But as far as the top 5 or 10 players to get in the first round, I mean, as the draft approaches, I don't want to keep doing the same videos where it's like, oh, like, should we get an offensive lineman in the first round? Oh, should we get a linebacker in the first round? Like, I guess it's a good video idea is what I'm trying to say. It could be like, oh, well, what are we supposed to do in the first round? So that would be a cool idea, but, we'll see. We'll see, but that's a cool idea. King Dog asked if there was a possibility that the Falcons bring in Stetson Bennett. What are your thoughts? I actually think that would not be a great idea. And it's not just because, I actually am a little higher on Stetson Bennett as a quarterback. A lot of people seem to have him as like a 3rd or 4th round quarterback, which is kind of weird. Like, geez, like I think he's a little better than that. But But I mean, that's why I'm higher on him, is because I think as a football player, he's much better than people make him out to be. No, he doesn't have the strongest arm ever. His accuracy is okay, but I mean, like I think he has one of the stronger mindsets of all these quarterbacks in the NFL, and he better. I mean, he literally just won back-to-back championships. And he's a mobile quarterback, all that good stuff, but, well, actually, I don't want to say he doesn't have one of the stronger arms in the league, but it's not the strongest, is what I'm trying to say. Or not the league, the draft. But it's not just because of that. Like, the Falcons are trying to stick with Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. I don't think bringing in Stetson Bennett would be the greatest idea, because it's like, what was the point of adding a quarterback if you already have these two quarterbacks that you're trying to develop this year? So I don't know. It's too many quarterbacks to develop. Archangel asks, have you ever thought about a live show in the near future? Yeah, I know. It's been a while since I did a live stream. 2 or 3 years ago is the last time I did a live stream. It's been a while. It's coming. I promise. I just need to figure out how to work it. But yes, a live stream is coming. RC Plan Builder 2 asks, is there any other NFL free agent you want the team to sign? No. I think at this point, the team should save their money and look towards the draft. And save their money for potentially next year's free agency class for any great player that comes in. I think we've had a good enough free agency to where I'm like, okay, let's we don't have to keep buying. Let's hold on, save some money here, draft well, and see what we can do for next year. Archangel asks, who's a Falcons content creator that you would love to speak with on Rise Up Rundown and pick their brain? So, there are 2 or 3 content creators that I'm really considering reaching out to bring them onto the show. Now, the only reason I'm not going to say who it is yet is because if that day comes where maybe they do say yes, I kind of want it to be a bit of a surprise. Like, I want to kind of surprise people, and they'll be like, oh, he brought in this guy on the show. But there's been some people that I've had on my mind, 2 of them in specific that I think, I've thought about reaching out to them. And the third one, I'm like, they're kind of new to me. I'm not super familiar with their content yet. But I've been binge watching them a little bit. So point is, yeah, they're coming. Archangel asks, which Falcons content creator inspired you the most? All right, so to answer the question, there wasn't really a Falcons content creator that inspired me to make Rise Up Rundown. It was actually more of a football, like, all-around NFL content creator named That Franchise Guy. Now, some of you, I think, are a little familiar with my story here. Like, I think at this point, everyone is pretty familiar with who That Franchise Guy is on YouTube. He's a big NFL YouTuber that goes over every team and his opinion on what the teams should do to be better. And how he predicts each team is going to do. And I just fell in love with that content. I was like, I want to make something very similar, but not the same. And while I know the NFL pretty well, I'm not going to act like I know it that well. So I wanted to stick with only my team, even though me and my brother make our NFL predictions every year. But yeah, as far as Falcons content creators go, so this is kind of a funny story. If you guys want to know, like, the real reason why I started Rise Up Rundown, it's kind of, it's like almost sad, but it's also kind of funny. It was actually because of anger, because, like, I was in this like sales job, and I wasn't making basically any money. I remember, like, I was so mad. I was like, so this is infuriating. Like, why am I not progressing anywhere in my life? And this was when I was making the motivational videos on my separate channel that some of you guys see. And that wasn't really going anywhere either. And so, I just was like, okay, I have to, like, freaking get out there and do something to make sure I'm getting progress in this world. And I also felt like, there were some Falcons content creators that I would listen to from time to time, but there wasn't really one that, like, I was super into. Like, I kind of was just like, oh, the Falcoholic posted a new podcast. Let's watch that. Or, like, Locked On Falcons made a new podcast. Let's listen to that. But, like, I wasn't, like, super, like, invested into all these Falcons content creators. I was more just kind of like, At first I didn't even know I wanted to make a Falcons content channel. At first I just kind of thought it was like a cool idea. But I just was like, let's give it a go. Let's see where this goes. And I just kind of got lucky. Like, the first video on this channel, the first ever Rise Up Rundown video was not on this channel. It was actually on the L2 Sports channel with me and my brother. That one, I wasn't expecting it to take off. But then, like, when I started this channel, and the first video was, what was it? Like, the Falcons' biggest problem in 2019 or something like that. I cannot tell you to this day what I did. I just literally all I did was just post a video with the most like basic thumbnail you'll ever see in your entire life and the most basic title you'll ever see, and people just kind of came in. I have no idea what I did differently. It just kind of worked, and that's when Mad Mike Sports came in to also tell people who I am and all that. I can't tell you what I did differently. Sometimes, people that are starting, it doesn't have to be just a sports channel. It can be like any YouTube channel. And they'll be like, how did you get your channel up there? I'm like, I don't know. I just posted a video. But, so yeah, I just kind of got lucky. But so what inspired me to do it, was honestly because I just was like, I need to know I'm making progress. Like, I'm literally not going anywhere. Can I just do something? Just give it a try. And so I guess it's a lesson to, you don't have to expect, like, you don't always have to expect success right away. Sometimes the best things in life are things that you just give a chance, and things are meant to be, I guess. That was a long explanation, but just wanted to say that. Archangel asked, who are some players or a player that you thought should have been let go by this team that we kept? Well, I'll tell you a player that I thought we should have kept is Foye Oluokun, but this year, I'm assuming you're talking about this year. I can't really think of any player that we kept that I don't agree with. I think I agree with every one of the moves the Falcons have made. But if we're talking about the past, like, I thought it was a mistake to let go of Foye Oluokun. They should have let go of Deion Jones first and then kept Foye Oluokun, because he's still doing some good things in Jacksonville. But for Deion Jones, literally, does anyone know what he's up to anymore? Like, I don't know. So I guess that's to answer the question. But if you're talking about this year, I can't think of a player that we should have let go that we kept. I think I agree with every move. Archangel asks, knowing our Atlanta Falcons fairly well, do you think we go best player available or biggest need in the 2023 draft? So, okay, I think Terry Fontenot kind of lied to all of us. Like, he said that we were always going to go best player available when he first came in, but in my opinion, I think that was kind of just an excuse to get Kyle Pitts. And I don't blame them, but, it's not that, okay, this is not to rip on Drake London, but was Drake London the best player available at pick number 8? I don't think so. I mean, he was one of the best. I'm not denying that. But was he the best? No. I personally think that Garrett Wilson was a better receiver to get. But I'm not... Now, this is not me complaining that we got Drake London. I'm very happy. He looks like he's going to be a great receiver. I'm just, saying this as an example. And then for this year's draft, the best player available is probably Bijan Robinson. But I don't think we're going to go Bijan Robinson. I think we're probably going to go Devin Witherspoon or Christian Gonzalez. So I think the best player available thing was kind of just an excuse to go get Kyle Pitts. But I don't know. That's just what I think. Mark Jones asked, how important is it that we win the season opener? So we have not won the season opener in a long time. In fact, we haven't won since 2017. And even that was not really a win. We barely won. So how important is it that we win the season opener? It's like not the most important game of the season, but it sure is one of them. At some point, the Falcons have to win these season openers. And hopefully it's this year, because the Falcons have been pretty good with they've just been overachieving with Arthur Smith. But if we could just win the home opener and bring in some early momentum, please, that would be awesome. Mitun Patel, I hope I pronounced that right, asked, would you say Arthur Smith is on the hot seat for this season if he doesn't deliver this year? All right, so as the biggest Arthur Smith stan, I will admit, yes, he is on the hot seat. Now, is he going to get fired? No. I think they'll probably give him another 1 to 2 more years if he doesn't deliver this year. But yeah, I think he would be on the hot seat because, Terry Fontenot's doing his job. He's drafting well, getting these players. Arthur Smith is overachieving. I keep saying that, but at some point you gotta actually bring them to the playoffs, and hopefully he can do that in 2023. And if he doesn't do that in 2023, it's got to be 2024, or else Arthur Smith just probably isn't the guy. Archangel asks, how do you feel about going to your fave team's home stadium after paying your hard-earned money for a ticket at a game? And we all know how expensive these tickets can be, and you cheering hard and loud as can be, and a fan of the home team like you tells you to shh, I'm trying to hear and enjoy the game, or to sit down, they can't see the game, because our fans in Atlanta does this a lot. Your thoughts? As far as controlling how the atmosphere is, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. I know the Falcons are always kind of like, quiet offense at work, but, you can't really, there's not much you can do. So as far as like controlling, like, how the environment is, like, I don't know, you can't really control that, but I would love to go to another game. I'm still not confirming it. It's still just an idea at the moment, but maybe we'll see the Falcons and Colts game, because I have a Colts fan in my family, and it'd be kind of cool to see the Falcons and Colts square off in Atlanta. Now, it's just an idea. I don't actually know, but those tickets can be expensive. And you can't really blame them. The NFL is the most popular sport in America, I would think. Hopefully the Falcons can get an elite home field advantage pretty soon. And then OMT, the last question asked, can I ask 12 questions? Yes. You can ask 12,000 questions, or you can ask 1,000,000 questions, or you can ask just 0 questions. You can ask just 1 question. Don't ask 0 questions. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just being goofy. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Other than that, I will see you guys with a video this Tuesday at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern. And I do sincerely appreciate all the questions that came in. That was fun. Love and appreciate you all for the support. And as always, stay safe and rise up.